switch off one mic.
Oh, good.
We had a sign up on stream. We had a sign
Hello.
Hello.
Hello. See.
Hello. Now it's better.
Unmuted.
Yeah, it's unmuted.
Yeah. So
Use that.
I think once I'll come there, then it's going to give me the feedback.
नहीं तो you stand there. Try now.
Yeah, that's fine.
Is that fine?
No, it's okay.
Yeah. Do you want me to check with someone if the streaming is proper?
No, I think yeah. Yeah. Okay. Fine. Cool. Cool. I think we start. All right. So hello everyone. Good evening, and thank you so much for joining us here. Just in the interest of time, I know we are a little bit over time, so we welcome you all. Thanks for joining us here, and we have already started the streaming of this event as well. So we will be presenting a couple of sessions today, and hopefully that will give you some knowledge regarding Dynamics 365. So just a very quick introduction. Usually I do the slides, but this time, in the interest of time, I'm not using them. My name is Kamar Khan, and the platform that has arranged this event is called ANZ Dynamics FinOps Teams. So we are a group of volunteers, and what we try to organize similar sessions where you get an opportunity to get some upskilling and also get a chance to meet the community. So I hope you will enjoy it today. So the layout of this event will be that we will have one knowledge session, and then there will be like small break or a little bit presentation from our sponsor, which will be a very short one, and that will be followed by the next session from our speaker. And after that, there will be some drinks and something to eat. So you guys stay here, just have a discussion with each other. So this will help you in networking or just getting to know each other. Tell any of the volunteers, myself, Kamar Khan, Rachit is here, and also we have Faisal and Amar who are outside. But if you are not, Faisal is here. Thank you, Faisal. So if you don't hear anything or if you need any help, just tell us. And if you are thirsty during the session, the drinks are behind you. So you can go in that sort of gallery area and get some drinks, right? Okay. So just to start quickly, so I'll introduce our first speaker. So we are very thankful to Aditya, who has lent his valuable time to present us on guides for Microsoft Dynamics 365. So he will talk about more for himself and the topic that he's presenting. So I'll just hand him over. Thank you so much.
I think this is okay. You guys can hear me with this? Is it audible? Okay.
Just put this up and
Okay.
thank you. My laptop. Do you have enough charge?
Yeah, I think it's okay. It's charged. It's getting charged. All good. Okay. Okay. Hey everyone, can all of you hear me okay? Loud? Okay, great, thanks. So thank you all for coming in. The topic I wanted to present was on the business process guide and catalog. So just for introductions, I'm Senior Solution Architect within the Fast Track team in Microsoft. So agenda for today, we're looking at what is the current state that we are seeing across implementations in various Dynamics 365 implementations. So I'm not kind of focusing just on F&O. We're referring to anything which is D365, right? CE, F&O, all of that. What does the business process catalog mean? Where does that fit in? Followed by the business process guide that we are building. And I'll take a few use cases just so that we can relate to what we're seeing in the implementations, etc. Following that, if you guys have not seen already, I'll just give you a quick tour of the Dynamics Guide Hub that we have. And then there's a demo as well, followed by some additional resources and links that we have got. Okay. So current state and what we're seeing is obviously there is no public process catalog that's available to be used during implementation, right? So you don't have a standard process catalog from Microsoft, which talks about all your business processes, be it source to pay, order to cash, all of that, right? The other one is we have seen that partners roll their own, and that is, many partners have their own process framework, which they're using to implement during your D365 journey. And product docs, this is more within Microsoft, right? They're very siloed. And by that, we mean the content is organized by applications. And docs are largely feature-oriented with some process themes, but it's not a business process-oriented solution that we have. So that takes us to the business process catalog, right? What's the objective? So we got to work on the business process catalog. Our first objective was to create the business process catalog different to those who are from the old school AX would know the APCQ process that you see in LCS. So we're kind of moving away from that, and we had a handful of objectives, right? And most important was we wanted to use the business terminology. Go away from the product and talk about the business. What is the business process and how do we align towards the business process that you're implementing? Product agnostic, meaning, let's say, not really F&O specific, but also go beyond F&O, talk about F&O and talk about CE and all of that. So first and foremost was that, and not use any software terminology. And then the catalog needed to transcend product boundaries, which is what I was referring to about going beyond just one space of D365. And what we got was one big giant business savvy business process catalog. And we have tried to baseline for our implementation guide chapter and all about business process focused solution. And this has been published externally. I'll talk about where you can see it and where you can view it and all of that if you have not seen it already. And it would be like a crawl, walk, run approach with this. There are different level 1, level 2, level 3 business processes, but we are currently towards level 2 and we finished it. And we're kind of getting through level 3. Again, I'll talk about that, but that's kind of what I mean by saying there is a lot to do. We have done and we have started that journey, but still there's something left and we intend to get there eventually, right? And when we did this, what we kind of started with was we looked internally, and if you're aware of MCS, ISD, we started with that process catalog and then we built on it. That's kind of how we got to where we are today. So what does this process catalog structure look like? Is just one second. Sorry, just one second. I think my PowerPoint is frozen. Okay, back online. Cool. So we got to the first one, which is level 1 end-to-end process chains. By that, we're talking about the source to pay, order to cash, etc. Under each end-to-end process, we then got to saying, let's logically group those business processes where the concepts are mapped to benefits that can be understood from a business context perspective, right? We then got to saying, okay, now we have grouped them. Now, what are the set of tasks that's completed to achieve a specific objective that we want to achieve? That's the level 3 business process itself. And then finally, what are the user stories and scenarios under each of those business processes? So that's kind of how we went about the process catalog structure. And I'll just give you an example just so you can relate to it better as well. So if you look at the level 1, end-to-end, I've taken source to pay as an example, right? Under this, we're talking about various business process areas. Level 2, it can be manage vendor relationship, procure materials and services, issue and settle invoices, etc. That's all the level 2 under that. And then we got to the level 3 business process. So under manage vendor relationship, what you have is, so if you see here, that's the define procurement and sourcing strategy. That's a level 3 under each one of the level 2. And then the level 3 under procure materials and services can be create purchase requisition, create purchase orders, etc. And then it was level 4. So this is where it goes into detail about various patterns that we are seeing, right? So if you go to your defined procurement and sourcing strategy, under them, what would you be doing? You'll be creating purchasing policies for the organization, or you'll be defining procurement signing limit or approval limit, etc. Similarly, for the level 3 business process of creating a purchase order, under that, we are talking about the various ways or patterns in which you can create a purchase order. It can be from a purchase requisition, automatic creation, manual, or from projects, etc. Right? So this is how we went about each of the end-to-end business process. I've just taken one example, but if you kind of extend it to everything in CE and F&O, and we're kind of talking about the integration there as well, and look at it as one business process, and we have gone about it. So if you go back to the business process catalog that we spoke about earlier. So we had the objectives, right? Now what we have done is we've looked at all the end-to-end processes. And as of today, we've identified 15 of them. That's the level 1, which I was talking about earlier. Source to pay, order to cash, that kind of thing. Under each one of them, we have gotten to, let's take all the process areas and try to complete them. So we have identified about 93 business process areas, and this is nearing completion, right? And the next step, which we are starting with, are the processes under each one of those level 2, and then we will get to the patterns as well. So where we stand today is the end-to-end. Level 1 is identified, completed. Level 2 is kind of nearing completion. And we are starting on level 3, and eventually we'll get to level 4 as well, okay? So if I take this forward and look at the difference between product documentation to process documentation. Why did we do this and what was the whole journey? Everything that we have now is product documentation. So articles are structured based on a particular product, right? Then it is modules, and then it is parameters that you need to configure within them, the documentation that you would see in docs or learn. What that moves to is, what I was talking about earlier, which is we have, everything is a technical language, referring to the terminology of a particular product and how that functions. And it also focuses only on the product and its documentation, not really the solution for the gaps that the product may have. And also moving forward, what that has is sometimes it includes best practices, but not all of them that's needed, right? So now this is where the movement to process documentation was needed. So what are we doing in the process documentation? So we have structured the articles in terms of process, then steps, and then scenarios. So end-to-end processes, steps within them, and the different scenarios within the business that may have within them, right? And then by taking a process approach, we can also incorporate scenarios for multiple products, and therefore ensuring it's more of a business language as compared to a system language. And when we're incorporating the scenarios long term, we also expect them to point towards things like open source Power Platform, solutions, code excerpts, and all of that, right? So it's not just, like I was saying, we're not trying to focus on just F&O, just C, we're trying to go beyond that. And also the whole purpose is, when we do this and when we achieve it, we call patterns and anti-patterns of how to use the Microsoft business application. And we want to, in that process, how you can review the options for supporting that scenario within the product stack while you're maintaining the whole best practice process, right? So we're not trying to, what's important to note from this slide, the product documentation is not going away. We're not saying don't look at that or don't check that, but that's still going to be there. This is a layer on top of the product documentation, okay? So let's talk about what is the business process guide. And the business process guide is basically a catalog of these business processes that we are supporting in Dynamics 365. So it provides a documentation on the structure and patterns of each of these business processes, along with guidance on how you're going to use them in a process-oriented implementation. So once this is ready, we have the whole thing ready, you would be able to use that in your implementation as a partner, as a customer, because now you have everything from a process language and not from a product language. So that's kind of the purpose of this business process guide. So with the business process guide, if I go back to Microsoft's vision and all of that we had, so at the heart of the project lies the commitment to Microsoft vision. And the vision was, goal to empower every person on the planet to achieve more, right? So how is this aligning towards that? We are embracing this spirit and we want to embark on the journey to create a comprehensive business process guide for D365, which will then shape the future for your enterprise solutions. So our vision is to extend beyond mere documentation, and I'll talk about what that means, but it's to go beyond mere documentation, and therefore, it's a transformative endeavor which is going to aim to streamline implementation, and we want to catalyze the growth and foster a thriving global community of implementers in the process. So that's what our vision is from a business process guide perspective, and it kind of aligns with, Microsoft vision as well. Let's get into the use case, right? Partner Fabricam is currently, I think those from the X world would know these terminologies, but I've tried to keep them relevant. So if Partner Fabricam is currently in pre-sale stage for customer Contoso and who is interested in implementing D365. So Fabricam is a partner, Contoso is a customer, right? Now, during the pre-sale stage, what the partner wants to do is The partner wants to have a standard list of end-to-end business process catalog, which are logically grouped, which can then help them in estimating the work required to implement D365 functionality. And they want to prepare a cohesive solution and reduce the delays often caused by unknown process scope, right? This is one use case. The other use case that you could have is partner has actually won the deal to implement D365 CE, finance, and SCM for the customer contour. So they are in the requirement phase now. And for each end-to-end business process, record to report, source to pay, order to cash, what Fabricam want to know is they would like to have all the business processes logically grouped and available in the Azure DevOps so that Fabricam can actually decrease the time and effort to onboard new resources to their project, and resources can hit the ground running during the requirement gathering phase of trying to map the customer's requirements to what's available in the system and map against existing user stories and patterns. Therefore, they can get to gaps quickly and let the team focus more on the solution and other value-adding activities. Here's another use case that we have often seen, right? Then if you move on, during implementation, what the partner would like to do is increase visibility to their project status. They want to be able to implement effectively, efficiently, and manage the whole business process, the groups, etc., related. And this can lead to more efficient scheduling from a project perspective. And if I leave the whole implementation process out and then talk from a partner ecosystem perspective only, then any partner implementing D365, they would like to build a process framework and user stories for all business processes. So D365, so that you have a comprehensive basis for validating the solution and reduce the risk of gaps in testing. Use standard processes in business language, which can enable reuse in all their projects, right? It's not just the Contoso customer that they're keen on. They want to have a reusable artifact for everything. Then have standard processes and documented patterns that can provide a baseline for all their projects, even if it's config or, and all of that to reduce the cost of implementation. Then a use case of basically saying, we want to have strong documentation that makes process implementation more accessible to junior resources. And, it's basically trying to upskill, getting them up and running immediately on the project. Have a clear end-to-end process framework that can also enable automation in terms of testing as well, right? And then they can use the guidance as a platform to even work on the existing IP and industry expertise, right? So how do we get to this use case as well? I spoke about partners so far. Now I'm going to switch from a customer perspective, right? So a customer who is embarking, they don't know about D365 at all. It's their first foot in the door and they're trying to understand. So customer would like to understand the scope of the implementation of an unfamiliar application from a business process context, because what we have seen often is you're implementing, there is often this juggle or a conflict between a system process versus a business process, and trying to map that is often what's leading to the requirement stage just extending way beyond. And then you talk about design. Again, there is a struggle because every partner has a different framework to do it and they're applying their framework as well. So there's a lot of conflicts here, right? And we want everyone, be it the partner and the customer, to come onto the same page and talk in the same language. And that language is a business process language as compared to a product language. So that's kind of what this use case is about. And they want to understand the standard processes and the best practice baseline that can be used, and therefore reduce the time spent on non-value adding extensions. So when we are talking about going back to the level 1, 2, 3, and 4, we're also talking about patterns, anti-patterns, what should be done, what should not be done, etc. Right? So that way you have the catalog available, downloadable, imported into ADO, and you can start from there. So it's, that's where the assistance help would be for both the customer and partner. And I spoke about from a partner and customer perspective. What we also want to get to is, what about Microsoft, right? We're releasing a lot of new features. And sometimes that's very product oriented, etc. Right? So what we want to get to is even features, we map that to a business process. You map that to a user story, you map that to a pattern. which would then help in understanding most of our releases, what that feature is, where does that fit in your business process altogether, and what's the pattern and anti-pattern for it. That's what this use case is about, to be able to relate to everything from a business process perspective. Right? And I can give a lot more use cases, but whatever the 6 use cases I spoke about so far, I'm only scratching the surface. It's just the tip of the iceberg, right? The greens here, that's indicating where we are now. We have a business process catalog. We have a guidance hub, okay? The yellows indicate what is in progress. So if you have this, the whole business process catalog dusted, it's available, you can enhance all your project management tools from it. Maybe even have Mavim, the business process, also related to that, right? We can have that BPM replacement altogether. We are looking, I'll come to the crowdsourcing part shortly after, and then talk about your process governance, even your process mining, because you have all the processes, you have all the patterns, you have everything. So your process mining it's going to greatly help in that process as well. And then the visionary part, which comes in the blue over here, right? What's the visionary thing that we're thinking about? How do we help in demos and co-pilots and all of it using Copilot? So if a pre-sales team is trying to deliver something, can we actually help in that whole demo process? Because now we have the entire business process catalog to run off it, right? Test suite automation, be it LeapWork, RSAT, whatever the process is. But if you know that this is the new feature that's come in, or this is a new extension that you've done, how does that fit in your entire business process? Therefore, how can you go about identifying where you have to automate, where you have to, where is there an impact, so it can help you in that process. Telemetry is going to be a big thing here, right? Now, I've mapped everything up to the granular level of pattern, so that's going to help greatly in the whole process, and your configurations as well. Because what we are doing, or I think I need to add this as well. So right now, I'll show you the process catalog. We have identified level 1, 2, 3, and 4 everywhere. That's available as a template that you can import into ADO. What we want to get to also, and that's in progress, is trying to say what's all the config that you need to do so that goes into ADO as well, right? And that's the work that's in progress. But if you think about it, the scope of what this can extend to is huge. And it's going to take some time for us to get there, but that's our vision with the business process catalog. So right now, the foundation is done, or it's at least close to being complete. We need to build the walls and the roof, and I think we'll get there. But that's kind of what we are seeing from a business process perspective. So all those use cases are it's just the tip of the iceberg, like I was saying. What it can lead to is all the yellows and blues that you can see here from that business process guide and business process. So what are we trying to do with this? As you would have seen, we are trying to transform the implementation through business processes. So right from learn, right? So process orientation, which provides context and discoverability of Dynamics 365. So this decreases the time and effort required for partners to implement and take the solution forward. And then from a solution perspective, so solution, we have a standard process catalog and documentation that's available, allowing partners to prepare a cohesive solution in the pre-sale stage itself and then carry that forward. So it's going to increase partners' efficiency and competitiveness while reducing the risk for customers. When we get to the estimate part, okay, just one second. Yeah. The next is estimate. So partners' standard process to estimate the work required to implement D365 functionality. So this produces better estimates, and what we are hoping is it'll also reduce the delays caused by unknown process scope, right? So partner can better reuse implementation. Moving forward, then we have so if you look at, this is your cycle of implementation through, right? You start with understanding the process. Then you have a view of the solution at the time of pre-sales. Then you go into an estimation process. Following that, you go into scoping the project. So partners can communicate and contract the functional scope of the implementation as processes, and customers can understand the language that everybody is talking, right? That's the scoping part of things. And we move on to planning. So this is implementation team work is planned and managed around, everything is around the business process, the groups, and the patterns and everything from there off, right? From here, we go to analyze. So you've planned the project. Now you are in the project, you're analyzing the requirements. Everything is from a process context. So that's then going to help with, not having non-standard processes from features, etc., reducing your non-value adding extensions, etc., right? After analyze, we're kind of getting to configure. And this is where, like I was saying, most of these are going to be available, so you can import and then take that forward. But the configure process is, we have documented the good patterns, and you know how to provide a baseline for configuration, and that can, hopefully reduce the cost of implementation altogether. From configure, we kind of get to, validate, adopt, and optimize, right? So validate, you have a process framework and the user stories which provide a comprehensive basis for validating the solution. And then there is adoption, which is, again, centered around change management, etc. And finally, we have a process-aware applications to optimize. This is your typical cycle. And this is where the business process guide kind of fits in almost every pillar that you see over here. Okay, so I spoke about the guidance hub. What is the guidance hub, right? This will be a one-stop shop for anything related to implementing D365. Your business process guides are in there. You can start from here. We have even, I'll talk about other things as well, but without keeping the gun, just one sec. Then you have a downloadable business process catalog. There are about 2,300 plus processes that's in here. So that's the other thing that you can go from the guidance hub and get it directly. What we have put in here is the link. So you can just go to aka.ms/one guidance, and that has everything, right? And we have tried to, put this aka.ms to make it easy. And we've tried to, in terms of getting to most of the things related to business processes. And the other thing is your process-centric guidance is what's available. So what we're doing is creating process-centric documentation, and that helps users to make connection to their processes, to how all of our business applications can be configured to support your needs, right? And then cross-product reference architecture and downloadable. So this is very important when we say cross-product, right? So like I was telling earlier, what we're trying to do with this is we want to go beyond just F&O or make anything which is specific to one product, right? So it's kind of going across. The implementation guide that most of you might have seen or accessed, it's now available in Learn itself as compared to something that you're just downloading. So that's also available in article format. And finally, we have included links to the implementation portal, which is now GA. I'm not sure how many of you have accessed the implementation portal, but that's a very good resource. It talks about in every stage of your D365 implementation, what should you be doing? And there are clear steps as outlined there. So it's a very good resource to access. So this was because there are so many resources, we kind of wanted to have everything in one place. And that's where the Dynamics hub comes into play. So let me just quickly just show the hub, and then I can do a few other things as well and then get there. Give me 1 second. Okay. So all you have to do is type aka.ms/one guidance, and that'll take you here, right? And like I said, it's a one-stop solution, one-stop shop for everything related to D365. This has your implementation portal. It has your end-to-end business process. It has the implementation guide and all of that that's right in here. So this is a good starting point for you guys to then go to whichever place you want to. So aka.ms/OneGuidance, right? And that will get you here. That's one. The other thing that we did, I did want to talk about is, I said, we have done all these business process catalog and all of it. Where can you download that from? I'll share these hyperlinks as well, but and I'll show it on the slide, but I'm keen to show it to you on the website directly. But aka.ms/business process catalog will take you to this site. That'll take you to this site, and you just have to click on download. What that'll do is it will open up this Excel for you, right? This is a list, again, going back to what I was talking about, level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4. You filter on Epic. That will get you all your 15 end-to-end processes that we have identified. Sorry, I should go and level up. So this is all the 15 level 1 processes that we have identified. You can download it from there and directly view it. The other one is, you can kind of go take it down. Now I want to know what all the level 2s under each one of those level 1 processes, right? So, I'm leading the procure to pay, so I'll be a bit biased there. I'm going to go to procure to pay. So in procure to pay, you have the business process areas for procure to pay, right? This is again all your level 2s. Under, each one of this, if you want to go to your level 3s, you go to feature, and that will tell you for each one of them what are all the business processes which are under those level 2s. And then you keep drilling down. The last level is your user story. So when I was telling you again that we have completed it, we have completed area path and epics, right? And this is very close to, epic is very close to completion. And what do I mean by saying we have completed is if you go to this is on Learn and publicly accessible. We have generated documents for all of this, right? You see here, you have all of them generated, and this will talk about each one of those level 2 processes. What is that end-to-end process scenario, right? And then level 1s is done. Level 2 is under each one of them. We're talking about what is plan and budget, what's acquired assets, what's managed internal assets. So we have gone to, talking about that process as well, right? Your level 2s. And there is a process flow talking about how this interacts with others and so on and so forth. So this is done. And level 3 is where, going back to the earlier slide where we spoke about crowdsourcing, this is where we are actually engaging with partners to help us in the documentation of level 3s. Level 1 and level 2, we have managed to get it. Level 1 is complete, level 2 is nearing completion, but level 3 is where now we are kind of looking at crowdsourcing. We're reaching out to MVPs, reaching out to partners. So any of you who is interested, please let us know. And I'll show you what is a process to also let us know as well, how you can do it online, and we'll directly contact you, right? I'll also talk to you about, so there are badges for it, and obviously it is also, please hold on the badges. There's some interesting news coming up about the badges, etc. So you'll get to know, but that also adds to, if you're looking for MVPs and other things as well, it's an important criteria that will go in there, right? So this is where the level 3 becomes important, and that's what we are crowdsourcing and actively reaching out. If you guys are interested, you can let us know to take this documentation forward, okay? So how do you do that? How are you going to approach it, etc.? I spoke about what's already there and where you can get it from and all of it. So if you are kind of going to, if you're interested in contributing, and I'll do a demo of this as well. So this is the process that you can do. First is obviously use that ak.ms/business process catalog, view the catalog. We have all the level 1, 2, 3s, and 4s in that catalog. The next step is actually expressing interest. If you're interested, that's where you go to the GitHub issue list and use this ak.ms link. I'll show you that page as well where you can express interest. And then in that, in GitHub, you can update saying, I'm interested to work on source to pay and this specific business process within it. If it is source to pay, I will get a notification and I'll reach out to you. Similarly, whoever is the lead for the respective business processes, they will reach out to you, right? You can join, you can express interest as a partner or as an individual. So it depends on how you guys want to go with that, right? Once that is done, we have kept the templates for all level 3s and level 4s in GitHub itself. And that's the link for your template. Take a copy of it. In the Learn site, we have already published some level 3 documents. You can use that as reference. We will also guide you with your first or second document, right? And that can help you with using that as a framework to build in the areas that you guys are interested in. And obviously, you author your document. Once that template, you've copied the template, you have written it, you submit it from the last link, right? This is the process. Now, I'll just show that. I don't have to create one, but I've clicked on those links just to make it easier and quicker, right? So, okay, great. So if you want, the first link that I showed about creating a new issue to express interest. So you click on that hyperlink, that'll take you to this page, okay? In this page, first thing we would request you to do is click on search and check if someone else is already working on the document, right? That means someone has already taken. So that way you don't have to wait for me to respond if it's source to pay or the lead to respond. Go here and check if someone is already working on something. You would see if they have worked. If not, you can create a new issue, right? And when you're creating the new issue, and again, you don't have to, it's okay if you don't remember the whole process. There's a tech talk already which is going through exactly the same steps, right? So you don't have to memorize, but I just wanted to at least do a demo. This demo is also shown in the tech talk, so it's all available. But basically, you click on the new issue, and then if you are saying that, right, if by any chance you feel after looking at the catalog, hang on, in source to pay, you have not covered up a specific pattern, a level 4. Then you use the first link to actually say, I want to change the business process catalog itself, right? And you can raise that here. That's what the first thing. And all these help texts will also help you, where we have it here saying if you want to request a change to the catalog, or if you want to actually contribute to a level 3, which is what we are focusing on today, then you can go into new business process area. Click on Get Started and ensure that you are actually specifying the business process. Please use exactly the same words in the same structure that you see in the Excel. Once you do that, you're giving your contact details and saying by what timeline you intend to complete, submit it. Depending on the area that you are expressing interest for the level 3s, the respective lead will reach out and we'll help you with the first template, understanding the template, etc. But again, the Tech Talks is actually going through how to write the template, what you should do, what you shouldn't do. It's all there. It's published and it is ready. You can access that to self-serve. But even if there are misses, at least the first template, we can at least help you out and guide you so that you can work through some of these level 3 processes as well, right? So this is how you express interest of saying, I want to contribute, and this is the level 3 process or level 4 process I intend to contribute. Once that is done, the other, I was talking to you about, downloading the template, etc. So the other link that was there, that will take you to this template, right? If you see here, there's a template for level 1, 2, 3, and 4. Level 2 is almost done. So we're looking at contribution in 3 and 4. So you go in here, you can download the template. There's a clear instruction of how to author it. You write the document, submit, we take it forward from there, okay? And once the document is completed, the next step is you're going to submit the document. So that is where you use the last link in that slide. That will take you here. You enter your name and you upload the document, and it's all done. So that's the process of going back to the slide, what I was showing. This is what I walked you through. Downloading the catalog, selecting where to express interest, create the issue request, wait for an approval from us, so at least you guys know. And we're also updating it directly in GitHub, right? So that it's not just a verbal one, we're also updating there. So you can look at the GitHub comments to say, yes, we have agreed to it, and you can work from there. Make a copy of the template and author the document and submit. So that's what this process is all about, right? I did the demo, and like I was saying, what's in it for customers and partners? Faster implementation, so you can prepare themselves based on the customers and prepare themselves based on the guidance. Repeatability is there a lot, so easier to skill up new resources, effective conversations with your customers from a partner perspective. They are also better prepared. They can also self-serve. When I say they, I'm referring to Contoso customer as well. And there is a clear recommendation from Microsoft for each one of these business processes. And will we get everything on day one? Possibly not, but we will be building on that pattern and slowly taking that forward, right? So that's the idea. And lastly, I was talking about recognition as well. So there is an award badging system for it, depending on contribution that's made. And all early contributions will also go towards awards, and this will also be a factor in MVP and other things. So we are integrating with those areas as well, depending on your contribution. Okay. These are, I think, all the links. We spoke about most of that before. How to submit, where can you view the process flows, and all of that. So this is where you can see that, okay? The only topic where I thought I was a bit... Yes, so, if you want to go anywhere, right, this is where, let's say you go to order to cash, this will show you what is the end-to-end scenario of order to cash, your level 1, right? There's an overview, what's the impact on the organization, who are the stakeholders. So when we're actually building the process flows, I'll show it later, it is mapped to the security roles as well, or at least the stakeholder role, I'll put it that way, right, in terms of doing it. So that's your level 1. And it's giving an introduction followed by an overview of the order to cash process. And this is where we are showing how that is interacting with your upstream and downstream. I'm still in level 1 so far, right? Talking about your order to cash. And then this is a specific process, right? Your level 2. So you have your invoice customers. And what is a process for invoicing customer? Who are the stakeholders for that? Your process flow for invoicing sales order process flow, right? That now we're getting into level 2 over here. With an order to cash, one of the processes invoicing. And then you have customer credit limit, right? And within that, you have your level 3s and your various patterns. So one of the process within your customer credit limit is how do you set that up? This is your level 3. And within that, you'll set it up manually, or you'll set up credit limits for a group of customers. So this is how we are building that. I just use order to cash to show that example. But most of these level 1s and level 2s from the Excel are kind of nearing completion. Level 3 and 4s, again, open to all of you to contribute and get the badges and, in the process to take that forward. That's mostly it from my end. And happy to take any questions if there are.
There is one online question.
Yes, go for it.
are these standard processes different from those published by APQC?
It's very different. We have not, I think APQC, as you would see, it doesn't use all the business processes and it doesn't go to this extent, right? It doesn't talk about the roles, patterns that you're seeing and all of it. It's significantly different. We have taken APQC, kept it aside, and we have started with this business process, right? So that's kind of how we did. We have used some ISD's or MCS's initial catalog to at least start off with, and then we have built it on that. So if you are expressing interest on level 3, we can share some of those visuals and all of that. So at least you're not starting from scratch, right? And then we can kind of build it from there. But it is significantly more than what you see in APQC. And those from, I think, the old AX world would know how the question, I think, probably is, were you able to relate that to any of your implementation? Right? Or how much could you relate that to your implementation? It didn't really help that much, right? So hence, yeah, it's not, it's way more than APQC. Go for it.
Right. So is there in your Horizon plan to make test cases and scenarios as well at some point?
Yes. Yeah.
To extend further?
Absolutely. Yeah. So the automation testing and all that I was referring to, it's going to get to scenarios and all of that, which then helps in taking that forward. Correct. Yeah.
And the visuals that you're talking about are on demand, so these are not available here.
So,
like, how do we?
How you can download the visuals? Yeah, it's on GitHub. You can download it.
Till level 2, not 3 and 4.
So level 3 and 4. So level 2 is already published. Level 3 and 4 is what is in progress now. So if you are expressing interest, you will be helping us in the visual as well. We'll provide you with the ISD visual and you can work on that. Yeah. If we are generating documents, we are also generating those visuals and then taking that forward. So, does that answer the question?
Yeah, so I just saw that procure to pay because...
Yeah, go for it. Yeah, that's the area you're interested in. Yeah, go for it. Okay, and yeah.
Because September last year, we used some of those process flows and business catalog list that was published on GitHub. So since then, has there been any significant change to the, like I'm seeing some changes.
There are some modifications, yes. So we tried to reduce the level 2 and increase the level 3 from what was there. So we have about 5 documents that's going to update this section. It is just with the Learn team to publish, right? So I think in a week you would see all that come up in this one. And while we're on the topic, we're going to rename Procure to Pay to Source to Pay, which is the direction where everyone should be heading. So we did talk about from source to contract and then Procure to Pay. So we're clubbing that all together and get into sourcing as well and talk a lot more about it.
Just for information, like what about the areas of advanced warehouse management and manufacturing? Do you have that?
It's all in there, yeah. So inventory to deliver covers a lot of that. So it is going to be advanced warehousing as well.
I'm interested to see the process flows to
correct, yeah.
that level.
Correct, yes. So okay, let's.
Because this could serve as a quick start, rapid.
Absolutely correct. Yeah, that's the intention, right? So a lot of these level 2s, they're all kind of in the final stages of getting published. But if we see here, we are.
For example, let's just hang on. So for example, route transportation loads. So it's like that's level 2. This is level 2, right?
Yeah, this is level 2. Correct.
So
yeah.
if we get down to the level 3s and 4s, we still are in that process.
That's what we're talking about today. Correct. Yeah, that's what we want to get to. So what we have done is in order to cash, we have published a level 3. So that's why I was going to order to cash, because that's the only area where we have a level 3 published right now, right? So in going to order to cash, right? So for you to know what will that look like, the best place to go is go to order to cash and look at this, right? So this actually goes like that, which is what we want to get to in all the areas. And it is all in progress. It's yet to get in there. And this, if you are accepting to contribute, it would be these videos that we would be making, right? And all these are, if you look at that stakeholders and everything, so this is what we want to get to for each one of those level 3 processes in a way. Yeah.
But why is Microsoft not proactively publishing these? Because with the amount of experience on this product since the AX days, I'm sure that this is lying somewhere within Microsoft's ecosystem.
Correct. So when you are expressing interest, we are giving you a starting video here, because if you look at it, we have 15 processes, just end-to-end alone, and we want many of the documents that exist. Some of them are a bit outdated as well, right? I'm referring to the ISD and all of it. So that was a starting point. So overall, we're talking about 15 end-to-end and 93 process areas, level 1 and level 2 alone. We're nearing completion there. For us to get to 700 level 3s and 2,300 level 4s, we're kind of just saying, let's do crowdsourcing to kind of get there, right? We have a starting point.
There's a starting point with Microsoft.
Correct.
Which is not known to the...
Yeah, I mean, it is part of the ISD exercise, right? If you're kind of getting into it. So as and when you're expressing, yeah.
Sorry. Great work, by the way. It's fantastic.
Thank you.
I can just imagine how much
it will lead to.
Work is going into the phenomenal people. So it's a series of questions. So one of is, you did say that this is based on best practices, not necessarily product. It's more product agnostic than it is. So in the instances where Dynamics 365 does things in a certain way, does the process talk about the way that Dynamics does?
The patterns will, yeah. The patterns will, right? So where up to level 2s, we're trying to not be very Dynamics focused. But when we get to level 3s and 4s, if you need to take it forward in an implementation, there will be certain areas which would be Dynamics.
So you could use, and this leads to the next
correct,
question,
yes.
You could use it as a gap analysis.
Yes, of course, yeah. Correct. So I would, I think end goal, you go into a project, you should be able to import the ADOs. It will give you all the level 2, 3, 4s, and you are having the related test cases. You have the configs related to it, and then you can take that forward. And beyond it is the process mining and the whole other part, but that would help you.
It's just clarification. And the last one's probably it's a too detailed question, so you don't really have to answer it. It's when we get to the stage where the processes are all defined and all that, it's you get those nuances with different industries that do certain things in different ways. Sometimes the steps are flipped, sometimes. So what's the mechanism for taking that into the next level?
So,
am I getting to it?
Good point, right? Great. So how we see this working is, let's say, I'm going to say that it's complete. That doesn't mean we're not going to face new patterns or new scenarios, right? So at least initially, as and when you guys encounter things that you don't see in the pattern, you would be creating a new issue here, registering it. We're going to review that and incorporate in the document. So it becomes that feedback loop continuously. Will we get every scenario possible on day one? Possibly not. You would. Every business is different, and I think you guys have implemented enough to know that. So we'll get at least majority of the scenarios, but the intention is not to leave the outlier as well. We do want to get to it. So it kind of becomes like your ideas portal as well, right? This one, which is you don't see a scenario, it's updated, and then we kind of take that forward from there. So yeah. You probably want to use the mic here. Go for use the mic here.
I had the same question of Ismail, right? So is there any industry-specific processes that you have covered?
With this?
So easy belongs to which industry?
Okay. So we have kind of gone, if you look at the processes, right? The process itself is doing manufacturing, distribution. So it's covering all of that, correct? So inventory to deliver is and even plan to produce is there as a business process. That will talk about production. You have an end-to-end process. So at least initially, when we are building these processes, We are looking at manufacturing also. We are looking at all that also to kind of get that whole list out. But then I think it goes back to nuances of, okay, you have in plan to produce, which is a manufacturing thing. It does cover this, but you missed out on something there, then that becomes an update to that, right? But we are not, at least initially, it's not, every process is not industry specific, and we're not trying to align there. But if you look at the process, it will tell you what stakeholders are they addressing to. Therefore, it gets to, depending on which area you get to, you will talk about manufacturing, you'll talk about that, right? So that's
So
interesting.
we can use Copilot for that. The other one is there anyone, what is the validation process? We know X or 9, 2012, how the documentation was done. We are one of those people like, struggle with those documentations, and partners all have taken us, like, customers always ask us, is this documentation that you could give us, that was very basic. So my question is, are you validating anything once we upload any catalogs or any of the level 3 information back into
Oh yeah,
what is
so
the
okay,
validation process?
okay. So so I'll tell you a scenario that's happening right now in source to pay, right? Source to pay has level 1, which is done. Level 2 is almost done. Then there was an individual who said he's interested in becoming an MVP soon. So he wants to contribute to this, and which is a good way. So that was his drive for doing that. Now, when we have gone about it, he said he wants to he wants to be part of the create PR, create PO. That's the level 3 process he wants to take. So we went through that and said, check in GitHub, express interest. He has expressed interest. We've assigned it to him. He's working on the document. He gave me the first draft of it a week ago. Because I am the source to pay lead, I'm looking at the document, reviewing it fully, giving him review comments, and sending that back to him, so that when he's preparing the other documents, he's going through that as well. And then he's making that correction, sending it back to me. There are, I think, probably 2 or 3 versions after a submission that it's gone to, right? But it's a good thing, because now he's across it. So I review it, and after the review, it goes through a review by the respective lead of the end-to-end process, and a review by the engineering team as well, and one more reviewer. So it's kind of going through that process before it's getting published into Learn. So it's not that you submit and directly goes there. It's not that. So that's an internal thing. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yes.
Thank you, Adi,
Yeah.
for the talk. Just a question regard about the different level of the processes. This level 1 to level 5. Which level do you suggest to use for engaging customer? I guess we don't want to kind of use the level that have a lot of D365 terminology and hard for the customer to understand.
Okay.
Just more like at the discovery phase.
Okay. So so most of this, right, if you see the way it is written, I would be surprised if a customer is saying that it is a very D365 terminology. So we have tried our best to ensure that whether it's level 1, 2, or 3, we've tried our best to make it, at least industry terminology or those kind of things. Yes, there will be some elements there, but by and large, it isn't. And also, if you look at every document, there's a glossary section at the bottom, right? So where we are using, let's say as an example, procurement catalog or procurement category that we have in D365, not every ERP will be calling it that. So we've also made a glossary to go there, click, and then make it, what does this mean in a way, right? So we have done that proactively to ensure that we don't face those issues. If at all we are using any D365 terminology to explain what that means. And in some cases, we have even gone and said, what is a purchase order? What's a purchase requisition for a consultant who is probably just starting? So we have tried to address the breadth of an experienced versus someone who is new to D365, as well as a customer who might just see it, right? Now, I just want to explain that before getting to your question was, I would normally say if you are, it's a requirement gathering exercise, right? How I would do it is start with your level 1, level 2 with the customer so that we at least know, are they following that or is there something more? And then you go to level 3 and 4, right? But all along, whatever you're seeing, there is a glossary and terminology defining anything that is, even if it's an industry name or it's a D365 name, if at all someone is getting stuck. So it's addressing both, yeah? Hopefully that answers the question?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yes, that's very helpful. Thank you.
Nice. Okay. Yeah.
Honey, excellent work by you and your team. I want to know, when we are saying that it's industry-based, right? What are the industry standards we are referring? For example, now DDM, we are able to say it's based on DDI. Okay. So with source to pay, are we referring against any CAPS standards or anything else? Basically, who's the brain behind saying this is industry standards? Because if you're going to say that it's again based on Microsoft process, then they may not be the right industry, right?
Okay.
So is there anyone validating, or is the intention to validate against someone from the industry to say, yes, these are the industry standards?
So most of this was validated, but which terminology they followed, I'll probably have to check and get back. But at least the level 1s and level 2s have kind of gone through that. I would normally say from, like if you do look at it, it would match to everything that you would normally call, like record to report is record to report from a finance perspective across industries, right? Source to pay, order to cash, most of this is what the industry is using as the process names. If you're going to level 3, there may be some variations because, some specific things that's happening in D365. You might see some deviations there. But by and large, the 1 and 2s should follow whatever you guys are seeing generally, right? But which specific terminology they followed, I'll probably have to check. Okay.
Last 2 questions. Just in that question.
So my question is like, let's suppose when we are doing an implementation,
Yes.
and we face some business process gaps. So do we submit that as a level 3, or do we submit that in Ideas portal?
No, so your Ideas portal is, so it's a combination, right? So Ideas portal is where you are seeing a feature issue or a feature gap, right? And what we are doing here is also capturing patterns and all of that, right? So yes, you will have to do it in both places at least now, where if you say that, okay, you know what, while I've spoken about the product bar or product feature that you want, you actually see that as a pattern in that industry or something specific that way, and it is more applicable, then it kind of becomes both, right? Maybe, we can also look at combining. I'll probably have to see how that works, but at least for now, it will be both places to then for us to update the pattern as well. So, and that depends on a few variations. I mean, engineering might say, we're not looking at it, right? At least for some time. Then what does the approach for that look like? Or what does that pattern look like to address it? So that could be some variations. Maybe there is some ISV which is kind of addressing that. Then like you were saying, we would like to go more broadly and talk about those things also. So that could be things. But answer is it would be both depending on what that leads to in a way. Yeah?
And I've got one more question. Let's suppose in D365 we have multiple ways of doing a thing. Like, for example, paying to agency. It can be a broker commission, it can be sales commission. So is there a plan in place where we can see what is the alternate approach for the process?
That's the level 4s, right? What you're talking about is level 4. That's where the user story and patterns come into play. If it is this kind of approach, then that pattern and another approach, that's pattern. So yes, that's what level 4 will get to. Yeah. So right now we have 2,300 plus. You can give another 2,000 and we'll get there. So
that will become vertical specific, right? For example, textile industry or chemicals or heavy engineering or services.
Correct. Yeah. So patterns. So we don't want to say, okay, so there are something called as tags that we are using within here to say which industry they apply to. So if you go to each one of those level 2, 3s, and 4s, there's an indication of what industry they apply to as well. So when we are getting here, we will be talking about this pattern for this industry. If we see that happen in that industry a lot, we will be tagging that. So that helps in your searches as well from that
So
perspective.
its tag will transfer to ADU as well? So
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Correct.
By when do you think it's most likely to be available?
So the level 1 and 2s are available. Level 3s, we are aiming for 75% completion by December this year, right? December this year. Level 4, we have to get it.
To ask our customers to wait till December and then
will have effective implementation or will email you directly and you send it to us?
Last question, guys. Thanks, Devendra, for waiting.
At what level we will be attaching all these processes to a product, and how, like, source to pay, there will be a level 4 or level 5 where you will say that creating a customer, this is how you do it in, let's say, finance and operations. But then CRM or CE might have a different way to create that customer. So at what level we will do and how to, do that in this implementation.
So if you see here, yeah.
So when it goes to the ADU, are you going to populate the acceptance criteria and the thing to learn and some enriching features?
So most of this will get in there. Okay, thank you. So going to the steps and config and all of it. So if you see there, it's actually talking about these are the steps. This is level 3 that I'm referring to right now, right? So it actually talks about this. You will do it at this stage, and this is where the app navigation and respective entity for it. And we are talking about, like I was saying, not just finance, but CE as well. So for a pattern where customers created in CE and then updated in F&O, it will be a pattern and it will be listing it in this fashion of how you would go about that and then take that forward. So it's going to get there. Yeah.
this becomes a feeder for Copilot then, because you're giving them
Absolutely, everything, right? And that's where, that business process excellence slide of, Copilot, process mining, it's a gold mine, yes, once we get there.
Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you. Thanks, guys. Thank you.
Just last thing, if anyone still has any questions, how they can reach you or.
Yeah. So I've given my LinkedIn. That's one way of reaching. Phone. I can share my phone number. But probably start with LinkedIn and see how it goes. Yes. Okay.
Thank you so much.
Great.
Aditya.
Thank you.
Thanks. I really
Thank you.
appreciate your patience.
Thanks for all the questions. So more questions, the better. So thank you. Thanks, man.
Thank you. That was our part-time DJ coming in. All right. So before I give you guys a break, we'll quickly go over to Faisal. Because see, these events cannot be arranged without having good sponsors. So we thank Faisal for being one of our sponsors for this event. Faisal represents One Dynamics. And we were also sponsored by OJA Systems. There's the OJA system there. And also we thank Integro Solutions, who are Sydney-based partner. Thank you for sponsoring us as well. So just Faisal will take 5-10 minutes, I guess. 2 minutes. Oh, okay, that's even better. And if anyone wants water, so they can go in the lobby. There's plenty of water there. And after the Faisal, we'll take 2-3 minutes break, and then we'll continue with the Rajit's session. Thank you so much. Over to Faisal. Let's go connect me. That will show. Cool.
So, all right. So, thank you so much for joining us today. So, as I said, I'll be very quick. I know many faces already, or maybe many of already know me. But today I'm going to present what One Dynamics is and what we are doing in the market here in Australia and New Zealand, and how we are actually providing services to the offshore businesses too. So our aim is actually a very simple, standing on the 4 points. Don't think too much. Let us think about it. So that's the first thing. Think. We will think for you. And all you need to think is just to partner with us. Either you are a business user, you are a partner, you are an end user. It's going to be a beneficial for you and for us. It's a win-win situation to partner with us. And then it comes to the third pillar, which is we will deliver it for you by hook or by crook, but we will deliver it for you. So, or by all means, like we are still in the consulting world, so we know the business, we know how the teams work, how the business run. So we will deliver it for you, and we will after deliver, we will make sure it's gonna scale up for you. So you will get the business out of it definitely. So that's gonna be the output. So that's our main. I'm not gonna take all the time in presenting you. Definitely, it's been a long day for every one of us, and especially for the business consultants. We have been presenting all these presentations for the whole day. I was talking to Rachit, and he said, like, I'm very tired answering all the questions throughout the whole day. So like, our vision is very clear to provide you a good support to your business. If the businesses are running due to some issues, commercial issues, financial issues nowadays, so we are here with the offshore model. It's not a new thing, no rocket science. There are many companies out there who are running the same business, and I'm not here to tell anyone like why we are distinct. So this thing will come into the picture when someone asks us, okay, we would like to have a business, but tell us what distinct thing you can bring up to the table. Then we will provide more details on that level. Our vision is simple. Everyone knows from the consulting world, vision is to provide a quality resources on deliver within budget. And not only these ones, we also provide the trainings, in-house trainings with cheap cost, which is definitely a demanding thing nowadays. We all want things to be done within the budget. What we do now here is we are actually growing exponentially. So we started this business about 2.5 years ago. I was the only one who started with this business, and then I got few people here in Australia now, and also we got almost 35 people back in Pakistan, the other offshore model, and covering about finance and operations, business central, so and customer engagement and power platform. So we are actually covering the whole cloud, and definitely we cannot leave data at any point of time, because that's a Microsoft slogan: data is everywhere. So all the co-pilot data and everything we need to work on. When it comes to the data at work, so we are providing services on the Azure Synapse, Databricks. More technical terms this is talking about, but we are providing all the analytical tools, providing services. So we do have architects who are working very closely to the different customers in different parts of the world, but they are based in Pakistan. So they are providing all type of data management, engineering services, where to decide data, and eventually how you are going to use your Copilot and AI on top of that data. Now, this is a very important slide, which I want to take more time on this one, which actually provides the capabilities, what we are actually bringing onto the table now. We started with FinOps, which is on the top left there. Then we got a few experience resources, and I myself have worked onto the project operations from end-to-end cycle. So we know how the project operations is working and what is possible, what is not possible with the project operations. Definitely, we are not that kind of a company which we provide, okay, everything is possible in the project operations. So having said, we can walk you through and provide you a more in-depth experience what can be done through the project operations. We recently have started a new practice in a Business Central. We do have a few projects on board as running on the Business Central. So it's really going good. So if anyone would like to have a chat about the Business Central, so definitely I'm happy to have a chat. And also I might not be the best person to answer all the questions on the Business Central. That's why we always have categorized the teams on the respective area and the industry. So, and customer engagement, definitely it's a part of the Power Platform. Everything, sales, marketing, field services, you name it, all the apps and the processes, we have worked on to the customer engagements there. Power Platform, we cannot, from the FinOps side, from the ERP side, the process now here, we cannot live without Power Platform. So if you want to do anything, so Power Platform is your solution now. So Power Platform, definitely we have created apps, portals, business processes, automates everything using the Power Platform. And definitely the last pillar is like the Dataverse, which is the strongest pillar of the Power Platform, talking about all your Synapse and the connectivities. And this is then the last thing which we do have the capabilities on the cloud infrastructure side, Azure integrations, which I just named few of them here, Logic Apps and the Synapse Link, and the API management. Definitely, it's a too less space to put everything there, which includes the big infrastructure about the Azure, but we do have all the skills there. With this one, I just would like to highlight what we have done in the last 2 years as a partner, and where we actually have been sponsoring the events across the globe. So I'll start with the top right, which is the DynamicsCon, and many people may know about the DynamicsCon. It is the event happened in US. So we were the silver sponsor of DynamicsCon there. So it was a good step for us to get into the DynamicsCon and get to know the market. Okay, yes, we do exist. On the left-hand side, you will see the Pakistan User Group. So Pakistan User Group is very close to my heart. I'm also the founder of the Pakistan User Group. But it doesn't mean like if I'm the founder of the business user group, I will provide all my money back to the user group. So from the business perspective, I do see all the benefits and what I'm getting back from all these user groups. So we have been the premium partner of Pakistan User Groups, and why we are spending a lot of money in these user groups, actually to provide trainings, free trainings, classroom trainings to them, and we are paying to the instructors, and then we are actually asking them to go back to the universities and educate there. So we are actually hiring the instructors, and all the money is coming from One Dynamics, and not to mention, like, there are other sponsors who are actually paying all the money to these good causes. So working at the grassroots level, providing you a good resources, and very soon we are also starting a training on the FinOps side. So I don't see anything happen as of now where we can provide your functional and the supply chain training on the FinOps side, but because the only constraint which we always get is the environment access. So happy to share, like, the One Dynamics has already spent thousands of dollars on that one, providing all the access, and so that we can provide you a training onto the FinOps side too. So we definitely provide training to different industries where they specifically for the females. So the Code Girls is actually one of the international organization. They do have their offshore offices back in Pakistan and India. So we provide them like when we say we is actually One Dynamics. Yeah, one last minute. So the One Dynamics is sponsoring all the certificates. So if we get a bunch of 15 people, 20 people, like we will provide you a certificate, whatever the cost it would be. So we will provide you a certificate. You just have to come on board and learn and pass your exam. So if you are not associated with an organization, or your organization is not paying you or not ready to pay you your certification fee, just let us know. Uh, Definitely, the last bit is the ANZ D365 FinOps user group. I'm also working as a volunteer for last 3 to 4 years as of now, actively participating in all the activities. So it's really good, going really good, and I would really like to thank the rest of the team members, Mark, Kamar, and Rachit, and the rest of the team members to organize all these events there and providing us all the opportunities to One Dynamics. So thank you so much for listening me. I hope it wasn't that bored. Excellent. Any question? We can I can touch base while we take a break 5 minutes. So, yeah, so there is an email down there. It's a good question, a good call out. I have shared my number here, by the way, Adi. So so you can always send me the message. I will not be available from the midnight to the 7 a.m., but the rest of the time I will be available. I can respond back easily. You can always drop your CVs or resume or reference someone into this email address. Thank you.
Thank you, Faisal. Those were very slow 2 minutes. Yeah, thank you. Nice presentation. So you want to take 4 minutes break, and we start at 7:10. But this time we have 3 o'clock for the rest of the session. That's all right. Thank you, guys. Get yourself some water, and I can see lots of energy still on your faces.
Hi. Sorry.
Nice presentation.
Thank you. What's your name?
My name is Noel.
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 Okay. Let me know when you want me to start, Kamar. All good? Okay, guys, we are starting with session 2 for today. We'll give them few minutes to settle in. The timing of pizza delivery was actually apt. Okay. Cool, let's start. So first of all, welcome everyone. Thanks for joining us. I know it's Friday evening and we are here. So first of all, a big round of applause for everyone sitting in the room. You have taken out your precious time on a Friday evening, spending it here. So it means a lot to the community, to everyone, to us. And thanks a lot everyone who is joining us online. Please keep supporting us and help us to grow. Just a quick hand checks of how many XPP groupies in the room, technical architects, developers. Good. We need more. We need more. How many solution architects? One. Cool. And also, how many of us are new to Power Platform and all these new frameworks, still exploring, getting used to it? Cool. Thank you. And also a special call out to, we have some Microsoft Learn student ambassadors in the room. So thank you for joining us. We are glad you are developing an interest in this space, and we hope you'll get some value out of this session today. Cool. So let's start with how we can use Power Platform to elevate our solutions, because everyone asks for it, right? Every customer, partner, manager asks for it. Use Power Platform instead of extending. So how can we use? A quick introduction about myself. I'm working with Valrada, Microsoft partner based in Melbourne. I'm also an MVP recognized this year. Thank you for all the support. I'm founder, member, and volunteer of ANZ user group and a user group for India. Same platform for people to come connect, share knowledge, and grow. If you want to connect with me, these are my QR codes to connect on LinkedIn and Twitter. I'm an XPP groupie, so always an X++ advocate. What we are going to do is, I'll try to wrap it up in 15-20 minutes, but we'll take some questions towards the end. A very quick introduction to Power Platform and what are the frameworks available within Power Platform to connect to finance and operations. What are some common use cases and scenarios? I have 2 demos lined up, which are very quick. We'll see how we go in with times, but I'm planning to use the AI Builder GPT model in Power Automate and connect it with FNO just as a proof of concept, and how we can use Copilot Studio with documentations. Then we'll summarize. So a very gentle introduction to Power Platform for beginners, and this is not a new slide, everyone must have seen it. Power Platform is basically a collection of different platforms which allows us to do certain things. Power BI for business analytics, Power Apps for creating UIs and applications which can be used by the end users to interact with the application. Power Automate is like your workflow orchestration automation engine which sits under the hood. Copilot Studio was previously known as Power Virtual Agents, but now it's Copilot Studio. And then Power Pages for building websites, internal, external. And all these platforms are fueled by AI Builder, Dataverse, PowerFX, which is more like an expression language. We'll see a very quick glimpse of PowerFX in our demo today. Managed environments and data connectors. So all these are very deep in itself, but this is just an overall high-level architecture of Power Platform. The frameworks which are available in finance and operations platform, which are bringing it closer to Power Platform, are dual write, virtual tables, business events, data events, and the connector. So again, these are not new frameworks. They have been in the market for last 5-6 years. So most of the people are aware of it, and there have been a lot of enhancements and improvements in these frameworks over the last few years. So keep an eye on the Microsoft Learn pages where Microsoft keeps publishing what's new happening in these areas. And virtual tables have like picked up quite nicely in last few months because all the Copilot connections with FNO are enabled through virtual tables. So there's a lot of investment happening in this space. So for technical folks, try to go deep into this framework. Business events and data events, we know, is more about eventing frameworks, and the FinOps connector is basically a proxy connector of FNO in Power Platform world. Typical use cases, this is again not new, most of you are aware of it. Dual write is used to synchronize your master data across FNO and Dataverse. So FNO uses SQL Azure as a database, whereas in Dataverse is the data as a service platform of Power Platform. So you can synchronize your master data, reference data, config data between FNO and dual write, and Dataverse using dual write. Dual write is not recommended still for high volume transaction scenarios. And also there is a new asynchronous capability coming in the roadmap, which is about to be released very soon. Finance, virtual entities are basically surfacing FNO data in the Power Apps world. So it's like a image of FNO data, which is exposed using virtual entities mechanism. The key difference is that the data is not copied to Dataverse. If you are exposing through virtual entities, your data resides in FNO. So if you have scenarios where the data, the master of the data is in FNO, use virtual entities. You can use it in Power Apps just like any other table. It does have few limitations, but it solves a lot of purpose, especially when simplifying data entry tasks for end users. A typical example is creation of vendors in Power Apps can be leveraged, can be done through virtual entities. It can also be done through dual write, but virtual entity will be a more better candidate in that case. Business events are basically eventing mechanism. Nothing new here. I think every one of you know what business event is here in the room. We have a lot of experience. But a simple scenario would be customer is created, you want to notify someone, do a credit check, and update it back. Workflow approvals is an area where they are used a lot, and alert-based notifications. Now, what I'm more focusing towards is FinOps connector, which is called FinOps connector in Power Automate world. But this is basically helping us to connect to Copilot Studio as well. So till last, I would say 5-6 months, this connector was not getting a lot of attention. But since the release of Copilot Studio, and this connector can be used to model a lot of business scenarios. So what we will focus today is how Copilot works with Power Platform and Dynamics 365. This is a very simple high-level bird's eye view of how data flows. So on the left-hand side, you see a Power Platform and Dynamics 365. These are the business applications which are used by our end users. And then there is a Copilot, which basically talks to business applications. So think of Copilot as a chatbot or some UI through which the users are interacting with your large language model. So Copilot is your data entry point. Once we interact with Copilot, it does something called as grounding. Now, grounding is a process of consuming the input, and then using these Dataverse connectors, it basically then creates a prompt for the large language models to understand and give a response. And then it sends the response back to the users. If we take a further deeper look, this is how different layers of frameworks are a part of the whole process. I'll spend next 30 minutes explaining all of this. Sorry, I'm kidding. So there is a very good link on Microsoft. I'll share that link. But basically, it explains the complete architecture and flow of events between Power Platform, Copilot Studio, Dynamics, Teams, and apps. So we'll share this link. Go through it. It explains very nicely what is happening at each layer and what are the different type of categories. But on a very high level, you have an admin layer where the administrator can control who gets access to which type of Copilot and which application gets enabled for Copilot. The next layer is for Copilot and plugins. This is where your Copilots are plugged into different applications. A typical example we see in Dynamics application, we have a Copilot sidebar to interact with it. Then the next layer is the plugin discovery and execution, which happens via plugin registry. So what happens is plugin is like a piece of code which you can execute, which does a job for you. But plugin registry is basically storing all the plugins, all their metadata, and securing all the plugins. So This is a layer where it's like a plugin repository, you can also say. And then third is the data layer, which is exposed via Dataverse. So Dataverse plays a very important role in talking to these copilots. All right, so that was quick introduction about the frameworks. This is how the Copilot Studio, which was Power Virtual Agent previously, that's the high-level architecture there. So what we see here is these are all the different ways we can interact. So Dynamics is one of them. And then within a Copilot, there are things called as entities. And then each entity has a custom topic. And then this topic talks to a particular flow or Power Automate. And that talks to the large language model. So what you see is here is a like end-to-end various frameworks which participate in the user experience. But when you interact, you won't realize because it's very fast. So what we are going to do today is first demo. I'm trying to create a proof of concept of using a ChatGPT large language model through Power Automate and how we can use it to generate some data in FNO. So I'll just share my screen. Let me know when you can. Let's exit here. All right, so first thing we'll do is we'll log into Power Virtual Agent or Copilot Studio. The URL still says PVA, Power VA. I hope it will get updated soon. But basically, when you log into Copilot Studio, you see some things on the left-hand side. So there are plugins, prompts, and models. This is still in preview, but we can start working on this. So I will be using a preview prompt plugin here. So if I click on prompts, so prompt is something which you can actually explain in a natural language of what this prompt should do. There are out-of-the-box prompts also. So if you want to actually summarize some information or classify some information, you can use these prompts. But if you want, you can create your own prompt. So let's create a prompt here and see how that experience is. So very easy to use UI. It's very self-explanatory. So let's create a prompt called ANZ UG skill desk 01. So what I'm trying to do here is thinking from a human resource executive perspective. I'm creating my skills in a company and I want AI to generate the description of that skill. A very simple use case here. So let's try to give it some context. So this is where the prompt needs to be structured in a way that you have to be very precise in what the prompt should do. So let's say create a 30 words short skill description for skill. Now this skill will be our input. So I'll say add dynamic value. Let's say skill ID. For a HR person who wants to manage skills for a Microsoft Dynamics partner. Let's say it like this, right? So skill is the prompt is created. So if I want, I can actually text my prompt and I'll say, okay, if my skill ID is SCM consultant, what should be my skill description? If I click on test prompt. So now this prompt is talking to large language model and it has created a skill description for me that what skills should SCM consultant has. Let me modify the prompt because it doesn't look what I want. It's not for an HR person, right? Right. Okay, let's test it now. So yeah, this is more aligned with what I was expecting, that SCM consultants helps to efficiently manage and coordinate and optimization of supply chain processes. So now my prompt is done. I can save my custom prompt. Now what happens is once your prompt is saved in the Copilot Studio, your prompt is available in Power Apps, Power Automate, and every layer of Power Platform. So I'm saving this prompt. Let's keep an eye on the name ANZ UG Skill Desk 01. When we do it for the first time, it is a little bit slow, but once you start using it multiple times, it catches up the speed. So let's go back to Power Apps. I'll just refresh this. It's refreshing actually. So this is the landing page for Power Apps, make.powerapps.com. If you want to learn this, you can create a free subscription which lasts for 30 days and you can play around with it. You can even create your own trial tenant and then create this environment. Now in Power Apps, on the left-hand side, there is something called as AI Hub, which is where all your AI-related components are stored. And in the AI Hub, you will notice the prompt which I created is visible. You can also see all other AI prompts which are here, and this is just mine. So, okay, we created a prompt in Copilot Studio. It's visible in Power Apps. Let's create a Power App. So we click on Create. Start with a blank app. I'm just doing it simple, guys. So if you have more from architecture side, I'm not following best practices. Just a disclaimer. It's just a POC. So ANZ UG skill app 01. In a real world, you would create a solution and then you create a Power App inside a solution and follow a lot of best practices. This is more of a demo. So this is a blank screen, and mostly Power Apps is a very friendly user experience. You can drag and drop things. There is a Copilot available. If you want to tell Copilot, add some controls, it will do it for you. Let's just do a very simple thing. So now the input to prompt I'll give through Power App. So these are modern controls. Previously they were classic controls, but now Microsoft has introduced some modern controls. So I'll add a text input control on my app. When you add a control, you can here give it a name. Let's say skill ID input control. And then let's add another control to show the response. I'll add another text. I hope it works because demos are sometimes risky with cloud applications. So text input, yeah. So here we'll get the response. Let's elaborate it because the response will be big, and we change it to multi-line. Good, so we have two controls. Now let's add a button because we want to click something to call that prompt. We added a button. Let's call it whatever we want, generate, yeah. Now the interesting part, how do we link this button to that AI Copilot prompt? To do that, we have to actually add it as a data source. So on the left-hand side, we add a data source. And in the add data, we can actually see our AI models here. So here you will be able to see all the AI models which you are having access to. And here I should be able to see my ANZ D365 UG skill desk prompt. So the prompt is visible, and I'm adding that prompt as a data set in my Power App. Let's just give it a minute to connect. It was never this slow when I practiced. Okay. So there is a disclaimer which says AI generated content can have mistakes. So always make sure you review and validate what AI content AI is generating for you. So now what we want to do is on the click of this button, I have to call that. So we just say select the button, click on select property. And this what I'm writing is basically Power FX. So you can think of it like as a hello world example of Power FX. So what I'm doing is I'm declaring a variable. So I can say AI skill disk. So this is a variable where I will store the response from the prompt. And now what value I need to pass and which prompt I need to call is ANZ UG skill disk. This is my prompt. And then the predict is the method which we need to call. And then in order to pass the value, we'll say, what was it? Skill input control dot value. It is very much similar to writing expressions in Excel also. So close it, and semicolon. So now we have called the prompt on the click of the button. Let's see if it works. So we'll play the app. Let's write data architect, and let's click generate. And I hope it works. It's doing something. It generally takes a bit of time when we do it for the first time. But this is basically now calling that prompt, passing the input. That prompt is talking to LLM, and then it's trying to get the response. Actually, what we have missed is we have not associated the response to be shown here. So how we can do that is on this text box, we go to value, and we say the value is whatever variable I set there. So my variable was AI skill, sorry. Let's quickly check. The variable was AI skill desk. Value is equals to AI skill desk dot text. Perfect. See, it actually responded. So let's play it again. This is another thing with the PowerFX. It's the moment you type something, it does it. So let's say AI developer, and we click on generate. So keep an eye here. This should change. See, it changed. So from Power Apps, we are calling the Copilot prompt, getting back data. Now, how we can send it back to FNO? Well, in FNO, there is a concept of data entities, and there is a particular screen in FNO. Just for this POC, we have something called as HCM skills. HCM skill is more of a technical word of the form and tables which store this data. So this is basically a screen in finance and operation, which is your ERP application, which stores different type of skills. And this table is exposed as an OData endpoint. So let's try to send that data in FNO using Power Apps. So what we can do is, in order to send that data to FNO, we will use Power Automate, right? So Power Apps is my front end UI. Power Automate is my engine under the hood, which will send this data to FinOps. How we do that is we can add a Power Automate directly from the Power Apps. So we don't really need to go to make.powerautomate.com, but we can also model simple flows from here. So this one is an easy one, so we'll just use it to model it. So here we can say, okay, create a flow. We can start with the blank canvas here. Very similar UI as other Power Platform components. We can give a name. We can say ANZ UG skill flow, right? So this is the Power Apps connector that I am getting something from Power Apps. I can say add an input. This is something similar, like I am getting an input from Power App. I'll say skill ID input, let's say. And what we do is, this is where how Power Automate brings value here. Because Power Automate has things called as connectors, which is a proxy way of accessing different applications. So we can use FinOps connector here, which basically works as my user credential. So it's tied to my user. So it leverages that license to get access. And then in each connector, we have some actions which we can do. So in this case, we'll say create a record. And when you say create a record, it will ask you where you want to create it. So it just loads up all the environments. And what we'll do is I'll just select one environment we have. And the entity which uses that particular table is basically called as dual right skills. Doesn't matches with the purpose, but unfortunately, that's the name of the entity. So when you select an entity in the Power Automate FinOps connector, it will show you the whole metadata of that particular entity, and it will just load up in a few seconds where you can see what inputs you want to pass to that particular action when you do. Let's just give it a minute. Yeah, so now it has loaded. So skill ID is something which we have taken as an input from Power App. So when you click here, you can see what are all accessible values. So here I can say this is the input, which is the skill ID. And I'll give the description also as skill input ID. And the notes column is actually the one where we want to store that description. So actually I should have taken that as an input too, because I have already generated. If I want, I can actually call that prompt from Power Automate also. So let's say skill notes, and then we say note is skill note. So this is how, again, it's a very no code experience. I will not say it low code, it's completely no code experience where you are just configuring things, and what people say is you need a developer mindset, not a developer skill to do it. So as long as you can connect things, you can configure it here. So let's save it and let's try to pass input to this flow from Power Automate. Okay, so this is done. Now let's add a button to call that Power Automate. So what we'll do is we'll add a button which says create. So let me quickly check. This was skill input control, and this is still text input canvas 2. That's fine. So what we'll do is on the selection of this button, we will call the Power Automate. So in order to access that Power Automate, we'll say ANZ UG skill flow dot run, and it basically takes your skill ID input control dot value, and then it takes your text input canvas 2 dot value. Close it, and this is, and that is it. Should work now. Let's test drive it. So let's choose a skill which is not here. Maybe, yeah, let's create a X++ developer. Ooh, XPP, rupees. Okay, let's play it. So let's say X++ developer, and let's generate. So this should call my prompt. It has generated. What I can do is I can also do something like as SSRS skills. I mean, I can add it or modify it. That's fine. So let's send it to FNO. Click on create. Now we have clicked on create. It should have triggered that Power Automate. And if we have to see the Power Automate progress, we can actually open it. Show you how the response and the payload looks like. I know we are waiting for pizza. I'll make it fast. Okay. Let's go to Power. Let's look here in the meantime if it has actually done something. See, it's here. And the notes are here. So this is a way. Yeah, thank you. This is an example where you can use generative AI to create some data for you and push it to FNO. You can think of your scenarios where you want generative AI to create some things for you. It could be your product descriptions, your terms and conditions. You can bring the use cases and we can model it up. So this is how we can use. This brings into my first demo where we have seen how we can create prompt, use Power App to simplify the user journeys, right? Any questions on this? Yeah.
How is the licensing? Someone's creating data.
Yeah. So the licensing will they still need to have proper license to access FNO or business application, whatever they are using. Copilot will work. Let's say in this case, if I'm using Power Automate, the connectors will be specific to those users. So if you look at this record and if you look at the going a little bit FNO-ish here. If you look at all fields, you will be able to see that it's actually created by me. That's because I was using that Power App, and that Power App has a reference that the connection which I used in that FNO connector was linked to my user. Yeah, so it's not going to save you license cost. It's only going to simplify your user experience, but there are other ways you can use generic accounts if you want to.
If you have any other questions, what we can do, we can ask Rachit.
Yeah.
Read the pizza.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Just heat up the pizza. I'll just show one more simple thing which we tried is basically using Copilot. You can push documents to it. And what I've done is I won't be creating it from the scratch. I'll just show you quickly. What I've done is I have chucked in the Dynamics 365 licensing guide into a Copilot and created a chatbot out of it. Because we do get a lot of questions around licensing. What's the default capacity, what license I need if I need to install a point of sale. So what we have done is created a Copilot wherein using generative AI features, we have actually uploaded the licensing guide. So I was testing it around. It works nicely for a few things, but if you want to try it out, we can do it. So let's say, how is Dynamics 365 Commerce licensed? Let's ask this. Dynamics 365 Commerce licensed. Let's see what it responds is. I tried asking few tricky questions. It was not able to respond, but here it says Dynamics 365 Commerce is licensed per user, right? And it has some more elaboration. It gives you link to that licensing guide. So instead of you searching licensing guide, this can do the groundwork for you. Again, you need to validate the responses. Let's say, how many AI builder credit we get with Dynamics 365 Finance license. So I did a typo error, but I hope it recognizes it. So it tells you when you buy license of Dynamics 365 Finance, you automatically receive 20K AI builder credit. So this is a very good piece of information, which if someone would have asked me and I would have searched the licensing guide, I would not have given the response so fast. I can then validate by going there to that particular link, and it takes me to that guide, and it shows you what it has actually read and understood, and it will respond back to you accordingly. Cool, so we all are hungry, and I am towards the end of my demo. Let's see. Yep, so basically that was the demo 2. Thank you, everyone. We love you. All right.
Just 2 minutes.
Again
2 minutes, yeah. Same. Yes.
You want something? You want that screen?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I think, thank you very much. And we have, when we have like gurus like Rachit, Adi, it will take time. Okay. So thank you for being patient. I think all of you have got this one. Right? Who are those? Okay. Okay. So can you guys come here for a while? Who has not got it? Yeah. Who has not got this? Okay. Yeah. Come on, guys. Come on, guys. Who has not got it? And those who have got it, can you please raise it like that? And Kamal, can you please take a picture? Hey. So, yeah. So who has not got it? Specified here for you. So you can go and sit. Thank you very much. Okay. So we have vouchers for those who have not got it. So this is. So. Okay. So sorry for that. Yeah. So I think I just want to thank you all our sponsors, okay, who take time to give these vouchers. So I want to especially thank you guys as well, because you are our strength. That's why we are arranging these sessions. And in the last, we want to just thank our speakers, Adi, Rachit, and Microsoft as well, because without Microsoft,
we cannot do anything, as you know. Okay. And in the last, we just want to thank our sponsor as well, One Dynamics, Integro, and Oja. Thank you very much. What pizza is waiting for you?
Before we move on, let's take a picture.
Sure.
Because after pizza, no one is
We don't want to enter this room again, huh? Done for today.
Thank you very much.